Hello, and we're live. I am just finishing setting up. It's my first live stream on the 360 from home. I've done it on the stand. I'm trying to just do it on my tripod, hopefully not dropping and breaking my phone. This is a 360 stream, so do have a look around the room. Let me bring it up on my computer and let's see what the quality is like. I know you're a bit behind me at the moment, but let's have a look. So, if you are just joining, give me a chance. Just have a look around the room, spin your viewport around the room, and let's have a look. Let's go to Eddie and see. Eddie is live now. It's weird that it's using that picture. I don't know why it's using that picture, but let's have a look. So yes, I'm just down here. Point the camera over this way. Hopefully you all can hear me. Let me know. Abuzir, hopefully I pronounced that right. Thanks for joining. How's the sound? Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully the video quality is okay and you can see me. I am just down here, so it's 360 camera, so you can have a look around the room. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. So yeah, this is my command center. I thought I'd show everybody my office. This is my awesome command center. And I've got my whiteboard wall as well, so if you grab your screen and come over this way, I've got my whiteboard wall, so I can just, the whole wall is magnetic whiteboard. So these are all like magnetic, and I can just they just go anywhere, and I can write, I don't know, live. Don't forget to drag your camera, if you've just joined, don't forget to drag your camera down that way. So yeah. Having a go with the 360 camera, I usually sit my mirrorless camera up here and stream that way, but I thought this way could be a bit different. The room's not too messy, so I thought I could give you a bit of a tour and see around. Cool, the sound is great, thank you very much. Yeah, what's everyone up? What are you up to today? Is everyone working, day off, hopefully contributing to some open source code, I hope. That would be good. And if you are contributing to open source code, let me know which projects you're contributing to, and we can have a look at your GitHub account and see if I can give you any tips on how to improve your open source project or your open source GitHub account. And I really believe that helps people find jobs and work as well. So it's not a sprint, it is a marathon. So investing in your open source work is really good. I'm just going to check this phone over here to make sure it's okay. All is good. Battery's at about 60%, so I think that's cool. Nice whole wall, thank you very much. Yeah, it goes all the way from this pillar all the way down to the door over there, so you can see some things over there which are put on the magnetic wall as well. And my wife leaves me notes over there, things I need to do over the weekend. So yeah, over that side's kind of her space. But yeah, thanks everyone for the thumbs up. I've got a few thumbs up, so that's great. Let me know what people are working on. Do you contribute to open source? Do you want to contribute to open source? I can't share my screens with the 360 camera, there's the one downside, and I also can't charge the 360 camera, which is another downside. So you get like 45, 50 minutes use of it, and that's it. You just can't do it anymore because you can't stream and charge it at the same time, which is like the most stupidest design idea ever. It's a bit like the Apple mouse, where to charge it you've got to plug it in from underneath, so the mouse has to be upside down to charge it, which is kind of useless. It's just stupid design. But hey ho, nobody's perfect. So I'm just reading the chat on my screen over here. So if I look this way, I have my back to you, I apologise. But at least I've got my name on my back. I'm actually a JS developer. I wish to contribute to open source, but haven't done yet. You haven't done it yet, so I'm going to try and pronounce your name again. Abuzer, hopefully I've pronounced that right. You haven't done it yet, you're a JS developer. Do it right now. Why don't you contribute to one of my repos? Let me put a link in the chat, and all the contribution you have to do is put your name at the bottom of the README, and that's a contribution. So let's do that. And for anyone else who's watching, if you do want to contribute, let me share a link, and you can. Where is it? It's called Hacktoberfest Practice. So it was designed for Hacktoberfest, but there's no reason why you can't do it now. So I've just shared a link in the chat, and like I said, to make your first contribution, or just to make the contribution for today, to keep the activity going, there is a README, and just add your name and a link to your GitHub account at the bottom, and make a pull request, and I'll merge it. If you need any help with that, just give me a shout. I can try and talk you through it. I can't show it to you with the 360 camera. I cannot share my screen, although I do have the Elgato Stream Deck down there to switch between cameras, but the 360 camera isn't treated like a normal camera, unfortunately. So yeah, if I was doing a coding session, I think I'd use a normal camera and I can share my screen. But as this is just kind of showing my office isn't too messy, I thought we'd use the 360. So do have a spin around and have a look. Cool, let me approve that link. Here's my profile, let's have a look. So Binary Bash, thanks for joining us, saying hi and chatting in the chat. So I find the barrier of entry a bit high. I would love to contribute, but the barrier of entry is a bit high. So I'd like to know a bit more about it is a bit scary, don't get me wrong. So I'd like to know which part do you think I'd like to learn. So which part do you think is the barrier to entry? Is it how to do a contribution, or how to contribute something that you would think is of value? So the link I shared in the chat, you could just put your name to the bottom of the README, and that's considered a contribution. I know it's kind of like a very small contribution, but it's still practice. It's still hitting edit. If you're doing it locally, making a fork, then cloning it and doing that the long-winded way. If you're doing it on GitHub, you can just hit the edit on the README and it automatically fork. You make the change, it will commit it back, and then it'll raise a pull request for you. Just hit confirm. So it's good practice just to run through the motions. So do give that a go. Both everyone watching, do give that a go. If you all do it at the same time, we will get conflicts. So, but we can sort that out, not a problem. And Abuzir says, yeah, I create PR, I use it on GitHub daily basis and private repos. Right, okay, so you know the flow, you know that. I've got your GitHub up here. I don't know if people can see the screen. If you kind of pan the 360 camera, not me, it's you can control what you see. If you pan down, I don't know if you're able to actually see what the content on the screen, probably really small. But Abuzir, again, I apologise if I'm pronouncing that wrong, has got a lot of activity, almost 4,000 on GitHub the last 12 months. And that's really impressive. But like you said, none of it is open source, it's all private. So although the activity looks good, if you just got a little bit of open source activity, your hireability, the people who want to hire you, people who could check you out, see what you're working on, will be so amazing, because their first impression of your GitHub will be wow. And if you had, like, I don't know, 10 projects, not all active, but if you had over time you had 10 projects and a couple that were active, and you did some contribution to your project and somebody else's, then you'll wow them with all that green on the tiles, and then also they could look into actually what your coding's like, and so I think that'd be win-win. So I think you've got a really good opportunity here just to do a little bit of open source, and for your projects, for your learnings, or for somebody else's, and you could do really, really well. What else have we got? Binary Bash says something of value. I've done a pull request. The overall action of contributing isn't hard. It's just something of value. Okay, that's true. Okay, brilliant. So you've gone through the motions. You know how to do a contribution. So that's great, because it actually scares a lot of people as well. So now you've passed that first hurdle. That's really good. Let me just read back up. So what do you do, Binary Bash? What do you do as a day job? If you're a developer, do you do JavaScript, and what libraries do you use? Do you use like Angular, React, or Node, etc., Express? If you find any mistakes in any libraries that you're using, like mistakes in documentation, that adds so much value, because the next person that has the same challenges that you had will really benefit from that extra line in the documentation that says, and don't forget to do this, or describes a flag in a command a bit more. So that will add a lot of value. Maybe not, you won't feel it's adding a lot of value right now, but trust me, it's adding a lot of value. There's nothing worse, so I've done this, there's nothing worse than using a library and noticing in the doc there's a missing step. Not a mistake, a missing step, like an assumption. And I didn't know what it was, and I figured it out, and I didn't contribute it back, and I just got on with what I was working on. And then, when I came to do something very similar a few months later, like 6 months later, no one else had fixed that issue, and I had the same problem, and all I could remember was, I've solved this before, I've researched it, I've solved it, but because I didn't contribute it back, I haven't helped anybody else, and I haven't helped myself, so I had to go and research it again. So I highly recommend just anything like that. Really, really adds value. That's great advice. I will look at some open source project to do some contributions. I work on Angular. Angular, yes. Angular rules. I love Angular. So, do you have any side projects that you work on that you try and flex your Angular skills a bit more? Because I know at work we kind of do the same thing over and over again a lot of the time. And if you do, just put that as open source, and that might help someone. It might help you in the future. It's that's also really, really good to get that activity going. So, what else? Why am I not in the picture? What's going on here? Oh, I think my picture's frozen. 1 second. Has it frozen for you? Let me refresh this. Hopefully the video's still working for you, because for me it froze. Let's have a look. Oh no, it's back now. So that's cool. Yes. Okay, we're good. Yeah, I don't think open source contribution should be a chore. You shouldn't think, right, today I've got to do... It might start off like that. You might think, oh, today I've got to do an hour of open source contributions to help my CV, right? Because we all know LinkedIn is a piece of shit and anyone can write any bullshit on there, and anyone who knows anything about anything will know that LinkedIn is bullshit. So doing open source contributions really, really helps to verify what you write on your LinkedIn or your CV and so forth. But it shouldn't be a chore. It probably is at the beginning, but it shouldn't be a chore. And the idea is that if you're using open source projects like Angular, like other even smaller libraries, material design, it's a big library, it's not a small one, but say someone's on a wrapper around something, covalent, or it's still pretty big, but you can see I'm going in the smaller direction. That you use, if there's any improvement, no matter what it is, coding improvement, documentation improvement, just take the 10-15 minutes to make that contribution, because if you do that, whenever you come across something, that 15 minutes, it won't feel like much, but over a month, over 6 months, you've kind of done hundreds of contributions, and for projects that other people are using as well, in addition to your own side projects. So that's really good. I'm just going to read the chat again. But anyone new who's joined, this is 360 camera, do have a spin around the room, check out my lovely cushions. If we come over this way, let me spin over this way. I have got GitHub cushion and Mr. Android with an Apple sticker. So anyone who, I'm using the back of the camera, well, kind of 180 degrees. So spin the camera around and have a look. Got your Android with running Apple. Oh, that's quite funny. Good old code cushion, and everyone's favourite. I've got a Linux one as well. I've got to show you that one. Actually, it's on the back of my hat as well, I think, right? I think so. Everyone's favourite. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Okay, let's spin back round to, now I've messed up the cushions, let's spin back round to the computer. I think there's some chat on the screen. Let's go this way. So what chat have we got on the screen? Boo Angular. What? Come on! Let me catch up with the chat. I've missed a bit. Okay. I'm actually trying to create my own blog, YouTube on the side, actually. Do it. Absolutely do it. Abuzir, do it. You've got to create your own blog, your own content, be it blog, vlog, YouTube, podcast. Just do it. And really kind of stand out against... It doesn't make any sense, it's not even English. It will help you stand out of the crowd of all the other developers. And that's why open source, again, is another thing that helps you do that. What about, so Binary Bash says, what about if you see people using functional based JS but you don't feel comfortable with it? Can you just do a simple pull request with code that works for you? Yeah, you could do a pull request that code works for you, but when it's not your project, you'll probably get a comment of people saying, well actually this is not consistent with the rest of our code base. So when you're contributing to your own project, you do what you think is best. When you're contributing to somebody else's, you really need to go to their coding style or consistency within their project. I'm using Abu Abuzi. I'm using Angular since Angular version 1. It's amazing to work with. Really, TypeScript makes life so easy. Angular 1 I really didn't like, but yeah, Angular 2 and upwards, so I think we're on 7 now, right? TypeScript is like freaking awesome. The React people are kind of slowly catching up, but you know, they were always a bit slow. I can't laugh when React 2 comes out, and the same thing will happen with what happened with Angular 1, where everyone loved it at the time, and then the next version came out, which was considerably better, but everyone kind of hated it and thought, oh, it's too much of a big change to relearn something. So it's going to happen to React. You know, you can't stay on the same code base forever. Binary says, I feel that TypeScript is a bit much for me right now. I could see why if you use Angular. I use TypeScript for everything JavaScript based. Not for everything, because I wouldn't use it for Java or PHP and so on. But for everything that's JavaScript based, I use TypeScript. For my Express Node backend, I use TypeScript. It's great when you're working with other developers, or even with yourself, and you've written something days or weeks ago, and you can include it, and you know what types things are meant to be, rather than getting some obscure bug. So do have a look. I highly recommend looking at TypeScript. It is worth the investment. If you've done something like PHP 7 or above, or Java, then it will be really easy to pick up with generics and all that. I mean, that's just awesome. But if you've only done JavaScript, then I kind of see it's a bit daunting. But do have a look and see, and then we'll do maybe some TypeScript live streams with the proper camera, not the 360 camera, because then I can share my screen and we could do some coding stuff together, talk about some design patterns. But yeah, when the live stream's finished, in the comments, just put some ideas of what you'd like to see in the comments, because if you put it in the chat now, I'll forget and it'll get lost. If you put it in the comments afterwards, then I won't. I'll remember to check it out. We've got 4 thumbs up, so thank you everybody. That's awesome. And let's have a look. Abuzir says, when I was starting out, TypeScript was a bit too much for me as well, but after the passage of time, I started to like it, and now I love it. Exactly. I think a lot of people say the same thing. They start, it's a bit scary, but then it's just freaking awesome. TypeScript actually has a TypeScript playground on their website. So if you go to typescript.com, I can't remember what the URL is, just Google TypeScript. And at the top right, they have a playground link, and this is a page with a form, and you can just write some TypeScript, and it will autocomplete it for you, underline things that are wrong, so you can kind of have a play. And you can still use JavaScript in there. You don't. It doesn't just have to be TypeScript, but you get so many more benefits, so many more sexy stuff with TypeScript. So yes, cool. Okay, got 4 thumbs up, and a few people are watching, so that's awesome. So what else would everyone like to see? So I've got my whiteboard up. If I draw, can people read the writing on the whiteboard? Just out of curiosity, this is my the writing here is actually nothing to do with the stream. It's to do with my startup, and it's a fully open source project, Dashboard Hub. You can take a look. These are the things that I'm working through at the moment to try and get the next version out deployed. So I'm actually moving from. I'm going to keep Angular at the front end, so keeping that the same. Removing Node and Express at the back end on AWS Serverless, and then moving to Firebase to get that real-time analytics. Cool. So, another question. Eddie, can you allow me in the repo? I push my branch so I can create a PR, but I'm getting access denied. Yes. So with the repo, so when you're contributing to other open source projects, they don't have to allow you access. That's the beauty of open source. You can contribute to any project without having access, and then it's the maintainer the idea to, if they want to approve it and accept it and merge it. So what I suggest you do is, there's a couple of ways you can do this. I guess the proper way to do this is you've got your clone locally, and that's of the source repo, so my repo. What you need to do, this is a bit long-winded, but it is the proper way of doing it, is you would then click on fork on the repo on GitHub, and then add a remote locally on the command line for your forked version of the repo. And you would push your code up to your forked version in a branch, not the master branch. And then you would create a pull request in the original repo, so my repo, from your forked branch to the original branch. But if you want to do it the easier way, what I suggest you do is you go to the original repo, so my repo, and you just do it all on the GitHub platform. So click on the README at the top right you'll get the edit button. Just hit edit, it will automatically create a fork for you and make the changes in there. So it's entirely up to you. Let me know what you decide. But yeah, I shouldn't have to give you access. Otherwise, every time you want to contribute, you're not going to ask if you can get access to the repo. So doing it as an open source contribution, there is that extra step because you have to fork the project, and then you on Git locally, if you've cloned it locally, you have two remotes. You have Origin, which is your forked version, the one you own, the one you can make changes to, and then you have an upstream, which is the original repo. So actually, I can use my whiteboard. I can draw on the whiteboard. It's going to be great. Let's do it. So the idea is, if you spin the camera around this way to the whiteboard, let's just draw something. So I had a green pen somewhere. That's on the desk. I'm just going to head over that way again in a second. So hopefully everyone can see the whiteboard. So I'm going to leave that up there and leave that. Hopefully you can see this part. Or I can use down here. What's better? Down here where it says live. Let me just rub this off. But if I just kind of talk a bit about contributing to open source, so a bit low down here. Hopefully everyone can see. If someone can write and say, yeah, they can see, or yeah, no, they can't. So if you have the original repo, so if we just call it S for source repo, or SCR, right? SCR? SRC. We'll just call it S and keep it simple, right? So the source repo, the idea is you create a fork. And we'll call that fork. So the source repo, that's mine, then I have full read-write access to that, and you don't as an open source contributor. When you fork it, you get a copy of the whole repo, but you have read and write access to the fork. And then if this is your local machine down here, then the idea is you clone your fork. You don't have to, you could do it the other way, but this is the normal way of doing it. And you clone your fork, and then you add the source repo as an upstream. So your fork will be origin, can't spell, got the G and the N the wrong way, origin. And then the source becomes what's called on Git the upstream stream. And then what you do is you push to your fork and you pull from the source. So your code changes, when you make code changes down here, it will go to your fork always in a branch. Never use the original branches you get from source because you want to pull those down. So you'd create a new branch, so B1 let's just say, you push it to your fork, you'd create a pull request that goes from your fork to your source, so we call that PR. And then once it's merged and accepted, you'll pull it back down. So you'll get the changes back down here, but you'll get the master down here, so that's an M. And then your branches will go up to your fork, go from a pull request into the source repo, and then you'll pull it down in the master branch, whatever the default branch is. Let me just check the chat and, oh shit, just kicked the tripod. Sorry, tripod. Let's see what's going on. Okay, done, created a PR. Wow, that was quick. Okay, that was quick. I'm just going to spin around the camera to see if I can see, you can see what I was writing. Yeah, you can kind of see it. So let me have a look. So if you've got this PR done, let's have a look. So if I go back to my repo, and we do have one more pull request, and you have added that in. I'm just going to go to file changes, have a look. You've added a link in. Hey, awesome. So I'm going to hit merge. Ta-da! Got no sound effects, but now you can't see, you obviously can't see my screen because it's too low res, but if I scroll to the bottom, or if you scroll to the bottom on my repo, your name is now at the bottom. So you have done an open source contribution today. So I want everyone to see how easy and quick it is to do an open source contribution. So especially if you see a mistake in someone's documentation, just make the contribution because it will help you in the future, it will help somebody else, and it's so easy to do, especially if you can just use the GitHub UI to do it without cloning the repo. If you want to do consistent changes like quite often, consistently make changes I should say, you definitely want to fork it and clone it locally and have all that stuff, because then you can resolve conflicts a bit easier and all those sorts of things. But awesome, Abuzir, thank you very much for the pull request. That's awesome, and you've done a contribution for today. What about anybody else? What's everyone else working on? So if anyone else who's just joined, do have a look around my office. It's a 360 camera, that's why I probably look a bit like kind of fisheye. But have a spin round. So if you come over this way with me, I'm not actually going to move the physical camera. You can grab your video and drag it across here. You've got my whiteboard wall. I'm not going to rub anything off, but whiteboard wall. and you've got if you go all the way around like 180, you can see all my kind of GitHub cushions and swag and Android bag and all the rest. And the cupboard right at the back is full of swag. Shh, don't tell anyone. So, by the way, the text on the whiteboard is hard to read. Yeah, I thought it would be. Sorry. I will use a proper camera next time. I can try and move the camera closer, but I'll probably drop my phone, and because to stream on the 360 camera, you have to have the phone connected, and the cable's like this short, so it's like tied with Velcro strips. But yes, we can talk about more in the future, and I can actually do a live demo. I think that'd be good. Yeah, it's the camera's 4K, but it's kind of like 4K 360 degrees, so it's not great quality because it's spread out so much. That's probably why I look a bit fisheye. So yeah, it's Friday. I hope everyone's going to be coding over the weekend. Open source coding. I was just testing you. Open source coding, and yeah. What else does everyone plan to be up to? So we asked me some questions about open source, about, I don't know, technology in the chat. Ask somebody else. I might not have the answer. I'm not saying I'm this all amazing guru and know all the answers. I know a few answers. If I don't know the answer, I'll say, and I can ask a friend who might know the answer, or someone else in the chat might be able to answer. So it's a collaboration on YouTube. So do ask any questions or any thoughts you have. Angular is awesome. Just saying that again because someone said boo before, so I was just kind of making a negative into a positive. Okay, it didn't work out. Bear with me. Turning around all the time to look at the chat is kind of weird for me. I don't know if it's weird for you. Is it possible to have two streams, one with the 360, one with the proper? Just a fun idea. Yeah, I don't think so. I could do one on Twitch, which is like say Twitch doesn't support 360 though. That's a good idea. I did, because I have got the Stream Deck, which is like I don't know if you can see. It's like a little keyboard, and it's got you can program what the buttons do, and you can change. It's like little screens, little LCD screens. You can put pictures on there and so on. And what I wanted to do was read from a web server which camera, if I put up like 4 or 5 cameras in the room, not the 360 one, but which camera I'm using, and let people watching write commands in the chat, like, I don't know, / camera 1, and it would switch to camera 1. The only downside is, if everyone writes something in the chat's going, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, camera 1, camera 2, and the cameras would be switched all over the place. Don't know how that would work, but it'd be quite interesting kind of little hack to do, I suppose. Little hackathon to do. But yeah, I don't think it's possible to have 2 live streams. It would be awesome if we could. I could have like the main proper 2 main proper cameras. One focusing at the whiteboard, one focusing at me, I guess, when I'm working on the computer, and the 360 in the middle of the room. So if people do want to have a kind of quick sneaky peek around the room and see what's going on, then they can. But yeah, YouTube hasn't caught up that far yet. Winter, thanks for joining. Volume's a bit low. Oh, interesting. Let me just check the phone, see if I can make the volume a bit louder, and hopefully I won't drop my phone on the floor because this cable is freaking tiny. But while I'm doing this, just have a look around the room, grab the video, and just have a spin around the room. So this is my phone. This is the length of the cable. It's like tiny, but yeah. So you can have a spin around the room, and like, I don't know, up, down. Don't look at the floor; it's probably a bit messy. But you can look at my kind of GitHub swag down there. Let me see if I can make the volume a bit louder. So apparently we're streaming at 25 frames a second, with a cap at 30 frames per second, and it's 8 megabit stream. It won't let me edit anything. Why can I not increase the volume? I will have to have a Google afterwards on the 360 camera to see how I can change improve the volume. Anyone else having issues with volume? Let me check the phone. Don't drop. Phone's back on, I think we're good. Don't kick the tripod, I think we're good. So yes, what else are we going to talk about? So, open source. It's Friday today. I mean, Mondays and Fridays are the best 2 days. Why? Because Monday is the day of the week. It's like, yes, I'm going to go coding, Going to code with a team, collaborate. It's going to be freaking awesome. You've got meetups in the evening. Well, in London, UK, you do anyway. And I'm sure most of you around the world you do as well. And if you don't, start one in your local area. And then Fridays is great because you have the weekend to just work on your side projects, do a bit of coding. Obviously, chill with friends and family. Downtime is really important. But I don't know, I think it's just great. I look forward to Monday as much as I look forward to Friday. Is that really sad? But yeah, and so I hope you all contribute to open source. I'm thinking about working on a MySQL admin for Node.js. Yeah, have a look at PHP, my admin. So that's written in PHP, but yeah, you could do a Node similar one to that. You'll need UI as well to do it. Is that what you need? Something like that where people could administer the database via forms, basically, to delete rows, add rows, search, and so forth. Sounds good on my side. Brilliant, awesome. Thanks for clarifying. Winter, crank that volume up. Put your headphones in, crank it up. I'm not going to sing, but if it was music that you're really excited about, crank it up maybe. We're going to ask little Mr. Android over here. If we come over this way. What do you think, Mr. Android? He's got these big antennas. Are these his ears? I don't know. But can't really hear much of those. So, I'm coming back around now. Okay, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying the 360 camera, if you're enjoying my home office with my lovely magnetic whiteboard wall, where I know you can't read the writing, so that's a shame. My big screens, I should say, or these are like 28 inch, just the iMac Pro in the middle, 28 inch, and the two Apple LG 5K screens on either side. And then we've got the 49-inch 4K LG screen on top, and that's pretty cool. I don't know if you've noticed, like you can probably see on my screen, like this little guy, like my character. I actually have a sticker of him right here as well. So if you're having a look, this is the same thing. And then I've got it on my business card as well. Oh, my phone's buzzing. My phone's upside down because the cable's too short. I don't know. That's fine. But yeah, so I've got my business card that says YouTube on the back. Not because I work for YouTube, but I want people to come to my YouTube channel and check me out. So yeah, let me know what you want to talk about, chat about. Oh, I've got some questions in the chat. Let me have a look at the chat. This is the bad thing about having a chat behind me. I can't like kind of look at the camera, talk, and read the chat at the same time. Give me a second. Let me catch up. Sounds good on my side. Al, yes, the volume's a bit low. Funny stream though. Yeah, I find something a bit different. I want to do some coding streaming, but I can't use the 360 camera. I bought the 360 camera and I haven't really used it, so I thought we'll try and do a bit of a, do you call it IRL, where you kind of just have a chat in the stream, bring the community together. So I thought 360 camera is quite good for that. I can kind of just go sit on the sofa and chat to you about tech, and we can bounce ideas and all the rest. I say draw something on the whiteboard, but you probably can't see it very well, but do have a spin around the room and have a look. What else have we got? But the volume's a bit low, so okay. Well, the sad thing about the Insta360 One X 360 camera, I can't charge it while using it, so we're kind of at 40% now. It's going to die probably in 20 30 minutes. 20 minutes probably. And I can't plug in an external mic, so that's really annoying. If I come around this side, is it any louder? But I think the mic is on this side, so I have pointed the front of the camera at me, so hopefully that's okay. We do have some questions in the stream. So Winter says, if an open source project is too big to start, you can find a tutorial with a bug, like I did to start doing pull requests. Absolutely. So Winter, thank you very much for that suggestion and contribution. I still see answering other people's questions or writing what works and what doesn't in chat. I still see that as a contribution, so I really appreciate everyone who's talking in the chat. Thank you very much. But yes, just logging a defect. If you raise an issue on GitHub, that actually counts as a contribution on your green tiles. It's not necessarily a coding contribution, but it's a contribution nonetheless. So I would suggest don't just think about big coding PRs. Smaller PRs are actually better than the bigger ones and more likely to get merged. So just like Winter said, if you can fix the defect, great. If you can raise a defect, it's just as great. On any of my projects, feel free to raise issues, raise defects, fix typos. I'm more than happy for everyone to contribute. And worst case is you make a small or quick change, and I don't like it. I might write, can you make these changes, and then I'll accept it. And you might say no, you might say yes. Worst case is it just doesn't get merged. As long as you haven't spent too long on it, then no one's sad. But it still counts as a contribution. So don't forget, the contribution is, raising an issue or raising a pull request. Getting merged or not doesn't matter. I'm not saying raise lots of shitty pull requests, but don't worry about it having to be perfect, is what I'm trying to say. Tushar, hopefully I've pronounced your name right, apologies if I haven't. How do I start open source project in JavaScript? Great question. JavaScript, open source, music to my ears. Actually TypeScript I prefer more, but that's a different discussion. We mentioned it earlier, so you might want to catch up on later on when the stream's finished, on the chat earlier if you missed it. But let me just check my phone. It's fine, just a notification. So what were we saying? Question. Yes, the question was, how do I start an open source project in JavaScript? So the JavaScript part is entirely up to you. If you want to do an open source, you can do anything: TypeScript, JavaScript, PHP, Java. Open source, just on GitHub, just create new repo, make sure it's public, add a README, add a license like MIT or something like that, and then just put your project in there. And then you can use GitHub Pages. If it's a front end project, you can use GitHub Pages for free hosting, or if you've got a back end to it, you can then use something like Travis CI or Circle CI, where you can deploy it out to Firebase or AWS Serverless, where they've got such a generous free tier for JavaScript, for Python, Java, all those languages. And like my startup, where I've actually got users, I've got one employee, open source project, I'm actually on AWS at the moment, and I'm still on the free tier a year later. I haven't paid for anything. I am actually moving to Firebase at the moment, so I would suggest not contributing to that project, Dashboard Hub one, for another few weeks if you do want to, because I'm working in a branch at the moment which is going to have a big change. We're moving from AWS Lambda with Express to Firebase. So Tushar, I hope that helps. My biggest suggestion to you is just to get started. Just make your project open source or contribute to an open source project. Just get started. The hardest part is getting started. Just get started, and then next time when you join the stream, if you've started, you can say, hey, here's my link to my repo. I've got a bug here, can someone help me? Maybe someone can help you. Maybe I can fix it on the live stream. Maybe we can give you some feedback on how to make your open source project lower the barrier to entry for more people to contribute. So yes, definitely get started today. It's Saturday tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. I'll let you off tomorrow. What else have we got? Abu Zia says, which open source projects do I contribute in? It changes. So I use, as I mentioned before, Angular and Node and various those projects, material design. If I come across something that's a bug or something I don't like in documentation, I will just contribute a fix. Otherwise, I contribute to people on the stream when they share their links. I might do a contribution to theirs. I like to do streams where I like to contribute to people's projects to show people how easy it is to contribute, to get other people on the stream contributing. So yeah, I just contribute to loads, and like I said, my startup is 100% open source. Even our retrospective meetings are open source on GitHub. So, and we might even start live streaming those meetings so people can join in. We'll see. But yeah, I contribute to loads. I'm easy with open source. Just to clarify that. What else have we got? M9AD. I can't pronounce that, but thanks for joining and thanks for saying hi. We're talking about open source and contributing to open source here. It's a 360 camera, so do grab the video and drag it around the room. It's a bit fisheye, but drag it around the room and have a look at my office, my home office. This is open source chat, everyone is contributing. Yeah, love it. Open source chat. Thank you for your support on that. It's brilliant. It's great to hear other people say what I'm thinking or I'm saying, because it's just not me kind of, going crazy or talking to myself. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Al says, I'm a junior developer. I was thinking of starting a great website idea and open sourcing it. Definitely do it. However, I'm very intimidated by the high quality of code of other similar projects. High quality of code is subjective. So let me give you an example. So I've got 15 years of coding experience. A couple of years ago, I think in 2017, I was in the top 500 open source contributors in the world on GitHub. And at the time, there were over 20 million developers or people on GitHub. And I was in the top 500. So I do understand it's a bit intimidating. However, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Let me read the question again. Yeah, it is about the high quality of code. However, even someone like me, okay, yes, there are people considered to be better than me. I'm not saying I'm the best, but someone with my experience, I might write code today that I think is really good. I'm really happy with it. I'm really proud of it. But when I look back at the code in 2 weeks' time, or if I look at my code from 2 weeks ago or from a month ago, I actually really hate it. I've even done stuff and gone, who's written this stupid code? Like, who would write it like that? And you do git blame, and it's got my name against all of it. I'm like, oh yeah, shit, that was me. So it's subjective, right? What we think today is good code is not necessarily going to be good code in a month's time. So just get something out there, and you might get feedback on it. You're going to learn a lot from it. If we talk about, if you've got some code now and you shared a link to your GitHub repo, and we could talk about it now. Yes, I know I can't share my screen with the 360 camera, but then we could all learn from something you've written. We could say, oh, that's nice. That's a really nice way of doing it. Oh, I would do that differently. Not saying it's any better, but I would do that differently. And we could all learn collaboratively from that. So if you're not putting it out there, then we're never going to learn. You're never going to learn. We can all learn so much faster by having that transparency. 7 thumbs up. If we can get to, I think my highest thumbs up on a live stream, albeit it's kind of like my second 360 live stream, I think it was 10. So if we can pass 10 thumbs up, so happy. So Al, I hope that answers your question, Al. How to contribute to open source? All the GitHub commands and topics to learn. Tell UA. So Sashin, hopefully I pronounced it right. Thanks for joining. There are loads of GitHub Git commands. Sorry, I should say not GitHub commands, Git commands, because GitHub just sits on top of Git. So there are loads of Git commands, but to contribute to open source, you don't even need to use any of them. You can actually just contribute on the UI directly. So let me go. I'm going to share a link, and I want to kind of explain how and why. So this link I'm sharing is to my Hacktoberfest open source project. And all you have to do is in the README add your name to the bottom, and we've already had Abuzir contribute to it. I think he did it locally on the command line, but I want to show you how simple it is to do it just in the GitHub UI, and you don't need any commands for that. So there should be nothing stopping people, and I always want to say people as I mean technical and non-technical people. If they find something wrong in documentation or a typo, you should just go on and fix it. So all you have to do is click on the README, and then you'll see the README, and at the top right have an edit button. Hit the edit, make a change, put a title in for the commit, submit, it will go to the PR page and hit create PR, done. So in the repo link that I shared, all you have to do is put your name at the bottom of the README with a link to your GitHub account. You should do that, and then that's a contribution for today. And no Git commands. Learning the Git commands is really useful. There are loads out there. You probably only need about 6 or 7 actual Git commands that you use 95% of the time. Which one do you think is more effective, open source contribution or blog? Al, I'm glad it helps, so thank you very much for letting me know it does. Next live stream, come back and let us know what you've done. I'm not saying to go now, but I'm saying, next live stream, do come back and say what you've done, what you worked well, what didn't work well. We can talk about it more. So Abuzir says, what's more effective, open source contribution or blog? If I'm honest, both. And by vlog, I mean content. Sorry, blog, I mean content. So it could be a vlog, like a video log like I do on my YouTube channel. It could be a blog if you prefer writing. I can't write and I hate reading. What else could it be? It could be a podcast if you just want audio. So I think you need to do that to stand out as well as the open source, because the non-technical people won't understand the open source side. So you need to kind of convince usually 2 people in an organisation to hire you or to reach out and suggest they want to hire you. And it's usually a technical person and a non-technical person. So you need to reach out. You need to do both. You need to do the open source side for the technical person, and you need to do the non-open source side. So it is in the non-open source. That sounds like private. No, definitely all public stuff, but more the content side, the branding. You need to do that for the non-technical people to appreciate your value to the company. So I would say do both, unfortunately. But I don't think it's unfortunate. I think it's really good, actually. I've just started in the last 9 months doing the brand, and I've got a lot to learn. I'm live streaming, and I'm really enjoying it, and I get to meet so many more amazing people around the world. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. So what other questions have we got? Connor says, hey, Ellie, just about to eat a nice pizza, nice timing. Hey Connor, thank you very much. Yeah, you know, I could do more live streams just when I eat as well, and we could just chat about tech and open source. But it's great multitasking. Talking about eating and talking tech, all the projects I go to and all the clients I have, I always suggest doing a brown bag once a week where we kind of get our food, whatever it is, some of the hot food, takeaway, sandwiches, and we'll just get into the room over lunch, and we just talk about tech and what we've learned, what we haven't learned, and it's a great way to share what people are working on, what people are learning about, and what maybe new technologies up and coming. So you're kind of doing a brown bag. I should get my food too. It's a bit early for me now. It's only like 6:15, but get my food and do a brown bag too. I'm just going to look over there and just check how the battery's doing on my phone and the 360 camera. Yeah, we're kind of at 20%, not too bad. If anyone has joined, don't forget to spin your video around the room, have a look at my office. You can see over here, let me just walk over there, so come with me, grab the video and pull it over this way. My whiteboard wall, I've got these are like to prevent echo, I suppose, in the room. I've only put a few up, but they're magnetic, so I can just put them on the wall, like so. So I've got these, they're out of the way at the moment because, I can make a bit of a design actually. There we go, is that right? No, that should be there. To kind of reduce echoes, there is a lot of echo in this room. I guess as I move further away, the sound's getting worse. How is the sound now? But yes, I started putting these up just to see if I can make the room less echoey. When I have the bigger mic on top, I suppose it's a bit better. And I've got my swag cushions. It's not a bug, it's a feature just in case you can't read it from that far back. Okay, let's spin back around to the computer side. Don't forget to grab the video and come around this way. Shashin says, I wanted to participate in GSOC, that's Google something, I can't remember what it stands for, but this year, but could not because not knowing how to contribute to open source. When is the next GSOC? Definitely get practicing with contributing to open source. You'll just meet so many wonderful people. I'm getting quite hot actually, I might take this off. What does it look like? Just put that over there. So definitely contribute to open source. You go to hackathons, meetups, you'll meet amazing people online. Definitely do it. I'll do a live stream where I'm not using the 360 camera and I can actually share my screen and we can contribute to some people's open source projects. So if you haven't got an open source project yet, create one. So maybe in a future live stream, not maybe, we will in a future live stream contribute to your open source project. Just spent the day doing entrance exams for bootcamp. I'm going to be doing, this is Connor by the way, I'm going to be doing a code bootcamp for the summer while I'm off college. Nice. Which coding bootcamp are you going to be doing, Connor? And do you know what sort of technology you're going to be using? A lot of the bootcamps do JavaScript based on Ruby, I think React, but I'd be interested to know which bootcamp you're doing and what technologies you're going to be learning. So think about how much you're going to learn over that summer. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. You're going to, at the end of the summer, you're going to be like a different coder completely. Sashin says, can open source developers get a job in top tech giants? What type of project should I make? Sashin? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I really apologise. I can't read it the best of times. So just contribute to open source. Getting started is the hardest. So just do it, and then your contributions will get more valuable as you get more confident, as you learn more coding. Especially if you keep contributing to a few of the same projects, you'll understand their coding style. They'll get to know you, and it will just make it a lot easier. And yes, so back in the day, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years ago, all the big giants, tech giants, wanted a computer science degree. Now that's so changed. They want open source contributions. It's really important. If you can get ahead of the curve and contribute to open source, you're going to stand out. So when they get a stack of CVs, I haven't got any paper here, but if I held up a stack of papers, which will be kind of imitating CVs, and as you're flicking through them, if you see GitHub links right at the top, I'm going to look at those first. There's no question about it, because on the CV, just like LinkedIn, you can write whatever you want. You could write with the President of the United States. Okay, we know it's not true, but you could write it, and there's so many things you could write that could be BS. I've got Like when React came out, had been out for a year, or Angular had been out for a year, people would write on their CVs, 6 years Angular, 6 years React. And you're thinking, it came out this year, how have you got that much experience? So that's why kind of justifying and backing up your CV with your open source on GitHub is amazing. And don't forget, your GitHub work doesn't have to be perfect. People also want to see that you've improved. So I'm not only going to look at your code from today, I'm going to look at your code from a month ago, 2 months ago, and see it's been an improvement. I want to see that you're still learning. Because hiring people, it's more about the attitude rather than just the skill. So you want people to have the right attitude. What else have we got in the chat? So Sashin, I hope that answers your question. Definitely do open source and definitely do branding if you can, be it blogs, vlogs and so forth. What else have we got? Tushar, thanks for the reply. How to master Git and GitHub. I don't know how to add a license, how to publish a project as an open source. I'm familiar with the basic Git commands, please reply. So Tushar, again, apologies if I'm butchering your name. Just by doing it, seriously, just by doing it. So just go to your GitHub account, top right, you've got plus, you better add new repository, it will come out with your repository and name, and it's called repository, but it's kind of your project because you have issue tracking, you have project boards, etc. So give it a name, click, there's a tick box that says add readme, there's a tick box that says add license, and you pick the license from a drop down, hit create. And now you've got an open source project, an open source repo with a readme and a license. So that's really simple, right? Step one you could do in 5 to 10 seconds. Do that right now. Just do it. Just get on and do it. Everyone say do it in the chat. Do it, open source, do it open source. But I just want you to do it because you'll see how simple it is. And once you've done it once, you're going to do it 20 times over the next few months. Because it's just so much fun to create a new project. And then you can clone the project or you can work on it within the GitHub UI by adding a file and editing a file. So if you know some Git commands already, you'll be fine. Just seriously, you just got to get on and do it. Abu Zir says there's not enough echo to create a design for Angular. A design for Angular. Abu Zir, I'm not sure what you mean by what's an A design? A design for Angular. I'm not sure. I was trying to figure it out, but I'm not sure. Code Institute is the name. Okay, cool. This is Connor, and it's Python, Django, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. What are your thoughts? Is it good topics? Yeah, I think those topics are great, Connor. I think that's really good. Just make the most of it. When I was at school, this is going back like 25, a long time ago. I did the bare minimum to get by, and I kind of regret that. Although my school didn't really help me for what I do today. But whereas this coding bootcamp is focused, I'm guessing, on what you want to do in the future. So make the most of it. Make sure you're one of the first there, one of the last to leave, because you'll also network with people more. And don't forget, if you're in a room or in a cohort of 30 people, all those 30 people are going to get jobs. And then they're going to get their first job, they're going to get the second job. And you want to network with all those people. Make sure you add them on LinkedIn, make sure you follow them on Twitter. And share your journey on social, your first day of bootcamp. Do a 30-second kind of video and share it, because people want to follow your journey on your learning. They just want a final product. When you buy like an iPhone from the Apple Store, yes, you get the final product. But wouldn't it be so interesting to see the journey? And that's why open source projects, I think, when they start open source from the beginning, they do so much better than they do it from the end. Because my TV's gone on screensaver. People want to join open source projects from the beginning, not from the end, because they want to see the journey, they want to be part of it. And it's so much easier for people to contribute to a project that's just started rather than a project that's enormous. But yes, HTML, CSS and JavaScript, that's all everyone ever asks me for nowadays. As a consultant, as a contractor, everyone always asks me for basically JavaScript, full stack JavaScript, HTML, CSS on the front end. And so that's a really good skill to have. And Python's also a really good skill to have because you can do so much with it. You can do Django, like you said, for web. You can do server stuff. It's server-side code, but kind of like more server monitoring and provisioning. And then you've got all the data science side, TensorFlow and all that amazing stuff. So really, really good skill to have. Oh, I'm now 10% on the camera. Stupid 360 camera! Can't charge it while using. Sashin says, is Linux compulsory for open source? I'm comfortable with Windows, or should I move to Mac? So I haven't used Windows in 10, 12 years. Windows, it's got a lot better, but you can use it for development, but most people develop in VMs or containers, like using Docker. So, and those are usually Linux. So you don't have to move to any system. You could dual boot your computer, so you can turn it on and you've got the Linux version and you've got the Windows version. I love working on Mac because it just works, it's performant, it just works. But when I develop, I am doing it within containers and within VMs. So I'm not developing on the Mac. But being Unix based, you can use a lot of the commands, like 90% of the commands that you would use on Linux. It's not compulsory, but I think, especially with serverless now, you don't actually have to provision virtual machines in AWS or Google or wherever it is. You can just use serverless and it just spins up the functions. And then it charges you per function call. So if you write a function call that's like on an API endpoint that reads some list of users out of the database, a list of blog posts, and returns it to a user, each time that gets called you get charged 1 unit, but you get like 1 million free units per month, and it's really hard to use that. And even when you do consume that, the next million is like 20 cents. So I'm actually using Linux less and less. I'm using it locally, but in terms of hosting in the cloud, using less and less because serverless, be it Lambda, be it Firebase, be it all the other ones are called, I don't really care about the hosting environment. They will spin up 1,000 functions if I need to scale to 1,000 people at that specific instant. They'll just take care of everything. So it's good to know, but it's becoming less important. If you use Linux or use Mac, then you'll use the command line a bit more naturally. I know Windows has got some kind of simulation of a Linux command line, and it's quite new. I know nothing about it. I know nothing about Windows, full stop. What else have we got? I mean creating A using those. Oh, C! Abu Z, that's a really good idea. Do you reckon we can create an A? Let's try it. What do you think? How's the battery on my thing? Like 5% on the 360 camera. Let's give it a quick go. Let's create an A. Right. So we're gonna do how many? Got 1, 2, 3, 4 of each. So we could do, I guess, alternate it. So people, it's a 360 camera. So if you kind of join me this way, grab your video and join me. I don't know if we're going to. Oh shit! I don't know if we're going to have enough. That could work, right? That's a bit kind of. That's kind of. How does the A work? Oh, I need a. Oh, I've got a black one up there. Been a long day. How's that? Is that A? It's more like an arrow or. I could put 2 more on there. There we go. Or like a stealth fighter. Oh shit. There we go. Is that an A? Does that count? Abu Zir, are you happy with that A? Or is that an epic fail? If it was open source, you could all contribute and help. Since you're creating design from it, yeah, no, you're right. Tushar says, will there be any programming open source bootcamp in the future? Will there be any programming and open source bootcamp in the future? Do you mean like in the world or on the? I'm guessing on the live stream. So with the 360 camera that I'm using, I can't share my screen, but I do plan to do some open source live streaming. Definitely, I want people to share their projects with me, so I can then give them some feedback on what I think on their open source project in terms of, is it a welcoming project? Is it low barrier to entry so they can get contributors? What suggestions will I make? And making contributions to their projects. You know, why not? It'll be an open source live stream or bootcamp live stream, however you want to call it. And I want to contribute to people's projects. So in the future, remember, have your GitHub links ready, and we can take a look and make some live contributions, and I'll share my screen at the same time. I have some more on my, where is it? Connor, can I ask how good should I be with Vanilla.js before jumping into a framework? That's a really good question, Connor, and I don't know if there's a right answer. I'm going to try and answer it before the camera battery goes flat. I think do a little bit of JavaScript, maybe just do some real basic stuff like loops, switches, conditions, and then just jump into a framework. You just learn what you need to do. I don't think all the old school kind of JavaScript stuff you won't really use. You'll be using more ES6 and all the rest. So I think just get on and build something. Doing tutorials only goes so far. Then I think, you know, after a little bit of that, you might do you know, a little bit of that per week, but you definitely want to get on to build a project. You will learn 100x, 100 times faster by building a project. Even if in a month or two you bin the project, well, don't bin it, you'll still leave it as open source, but you don't continue it, is what I mean. You archive it on GitHub. So definitely do a real project. You have some more on your back. Yeah, those ones on the cupboard are actually glued and not magnetic. So yeah, I'm experimenting a bit with magnetic and kind of glued ones. But I need to do something. I could do maybe an A on my big white wall. If you turn 180 on the camera on the big white wall, I could put something on that wall. I might do something like that. Yeah. In your live stream. In my live stream, yes. So Tushar, yes, I will do coding, open source coding in my live stream. That is the plan. I just wanted to use this 360 camera because I don't really use it that much. And I wanted to be more of less kind of coding, screen sharing today, a bit more of getting to know you, you getting to know me. I can let you know what events I'm going to. So I'm speaking at an event on Tuesday. It's about how to get more people into coding as a developer and what it takes to be a developer. I don't think we're going to live stream it, but I will record it. So it will be on my YouTube channel in the near future. I've got loads more videos coming out. Don't forget to sign up to my newsletter. There should be a link below. No, there is not a link below. But I will add a link below after this live stream, or there is one in my other videos. It's just on my website. Actually, I can share the link. I actually have a bot that does that. I didn't really think about that. That's really stupid. So, on that link, there's a newsletter. You can get some open source tips, a free book. When you subscribe, it will email you a link to the free book. But also, which is also open source, so if you see any mistakes or improvements or changes, do contribute to it. But also, I'll send out a newsletter of what videos I've got coming up. So I've got if you take the screen this way, you see all these post-its. These are so many videos that I've got to edit still. So the hackathons I've been to. I went to a hackathon at Expedia. That was really, really good. A video from that. I've got a UE called Tech. Was at Monzo, which is a challenger bank in the UK. Excuse me, like a digital bank. And there were 3 talks that evening. I recorded those and they were really brilliant. I want to get those out hopefully really soon. So keep an eye out for those. And yeah, I'll share in my newsletter what events I'm going to, and also let me know if you're going to any events. Ideally in Europe, because it's a lot easier for me. Then I will join you at those events as well. But yes, if you've made some suggestions, don't forget to put it in a comment after the video, because then I will remember. So just say open source bootcamp live stream or something in the comment afterwards, because in the chat it'll get lost and I'll forget, but in the comment I'll remember. Sasha, I'm going to make some Udemy courses. Is it a good idea for making money? I need money, that's why. I'm not sure about Udemy courses. From what I understand, and I haven't done my research on this is just what I've heard, is Udemy takes 90% of your money, and they're always doing offers. So if your course is $100, say, and they're always going, hey, 90% off, $10 for this course, people buy it, but you only get $2 out of that. So unless you sell hundreds of thousands, I think you will learn a lot from it yourself by doing the course, because when I teach, I know I learn so much more by trying to explain things rather than just getting on and doing it. It makes things solidify in my mind. Oh shit, the battery's going to go flat. We are literally at a few % battery. So Udemy course, do your research before you do it. If you want sales, then yeah, do it on Udemy. If you want branding, do it on YouTube for free. I've seen people do and work well is they'll do a free version of the course on YouTube, and then on Patreon do extra more advanced features and have those paid for their Patreon. I think that works well. I think Patreon takes less. I don't know what it is, 20-30% maybe, but the majority is for you. So have a look and do your research and see. But we are at literally 1% battery. I think this is going to die. I don't know if I'll wait to see until it dies, see what happens. Does it flash and alert me, or does it just go kaput? We can have a look and see. Adshash, I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. The voice is not good, it's not audio, bro. Oh no, I'm really sorry. Maybe because the battery on the camera's going flat, but we're calling this stream to an end. Let me write that I'm going to write that in the chat just in case you can't hear me. Thanks for the feedback. Battery in 360 camera about to die. Before the camera dies, grab the video, have a spin around the room, have a look. You've got my whiteboard wall. We've tried to create an A with, come this way. The battery light is now flashing, so it's going to die in a second now. We're trying to create an A with, that's more like an A, right? With my kind of sound foam stuff. Yes, battery's really going to die soon. But yeah, have a spin around the room, look at my magnetic whiteboard wall, my couch and my GitHub cushion and that sort of swag. So yes, let me see. Thank you, it was great talking to everyone. Listen, really thank you for your feedback. If you like open source or want to get into open source, write open source in the chat now. I really appreciate that. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you've not already. And I'll take you on my adventures to hackathons, tech events. I'll be doing interviews with people who have done boot camps, who have got open source projects. We'll get to hear more about those. And I shared a link just slightly up the chat where you can subscribe to my newsletter, where I will share what videos are coming out, the videos I've posted, and what events I'm going to. And don't forget to let me know what events you're going to, and if it's in Europe as well, I can hopefully tag along, and we can vlog together, right? And we can, at a hackathon, we can code. It's open source pair programming. You can see my laptop in the corner just charging. But thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate it. We've got 9 thumbs up. Let's see if we can hit double figures before the battery on the 360 camera dies. It is flashing like crazy now. So let me just look at the phone and see if, yeah, it is going to die very, very soon. But just think, when you think Eddie, think open source. And I hope you like my home office. I love it. I love working from home. I've got an awesome home office. And I can do these live streams and talk to people as well at the end of my working day. And share what I've been working on. I love hearing what you've been working on. So next time, we'll do a live stream with the big camera using my Stream Deck, so I can share my screen and people can share links to their projects, and I can see what they've been working on as well, what you've been working on. I really want to contribute to some of your open source projects. So by next time we talk, I'd love to have some more open source projects. I think we had 2 or 3 links this time. I'd love to see a lot more links, a lot more open source projects. I can give you some feedback, and I might even send you a pull request. And don't forget, raising an issue, raising a defect, raising an idea still counts as a contribution on your green tiles. I'm just going to check the chat. Connor says, it does look bad that I'm studying mechanical engineering and I want to try and get entry-level role, but Roy